legends, Dirtbike Fever here again. Today I think we're going to have a bit of a crack at fixing a chain. Basically got a crappy old chain on this bike here. It's been churned up from the mud, the rain, the water. So I've pretty much killed it. It's got a lot of rust in it. It's worn like buggery. So we're going to piece that one off and we're going to put on a new one. I've got some good gear O-ring ones here to put on. So I'll give you the techniques on how to slap on a new chain and basically cut them to length. So the easy part's pulling them off, the hard part's actually trying to cut the buggers. So I'll give you some techniques and hopefully you agree. It's pretty straightforward and a bit of bike maintenance. Cheers. Had a hard life, this chain. It's one of those cheap ones I bought from the shop and I'm really not that happy with it. It's got quite a few kinks in it and basically it goes like that and stays like that, which I'm not very happy about. So we've got a proper one to put on there. So let's get this one off in the first instance and keep moving. Alright, we're basically on a bike stand here. So we might as well use it to our advantage. And put the wheel at a height that we can work with it, eh? Use our trusty bike stand to pick up that back wheel off the ground. Of course you can. Alrighty. So now to get a chain off, we basically need to find the joiner link. Now a joiner link is basically a pin that has a demandable faceplate off it. Where is he? There he is. You can tell he looks a bit different to all the others. He's got a little mount here. Okay, just a quick close-up of our joiner link. I've actually put one right here just as a comparison. You can see it goes right there. These are the plates we're talking about that come apart. And the one thing to note is this little joiner link here needs to be going in the direction of travel. The chain's pulling this way, so that joiner link needs to go that way. Okay, so to try and get this joiner link off, we can do it many ways, but one way is to get a screwdriver and smack it with a hammer and try and push it off by pushing these little clips here. See how this one's very worn, it can get pretty tricky. Another thing you can do is grab a pair of pliers and try and pull it against the pin, so like this. Just like that. Tap that one out. Just like that. Just want to get rid of this little clip. Now we want to get this plate off. Again, I'm using my screwdriver just to leverage. Sometimes they can get quite sticky. See, I'm using the other pin just to leverage it off. Our chain is now broken. Effectively, just bike chains off. Okay, let's have a quick chat about bike chain lengths. Most dirt bikes have a 520, as in a width of chain, and 120 links of chain is how long they are. Chains come in a variety of flavors. Again, if we're only talking 520s for most dirt bikes, 530s for road bikes, 630s, different sizes, gauges, which is to do with the width. All we're concerned about is it's a 520 for most dirt bikes. This one is a non-O-ring and this one is an O-ring. O-rings basically mean you literally have these little rubber O-rings in there, and that helps to keep the chain lubed inside so it doesn't wear as quickly. So O-rings are always preferable. We run non-O-rings on motocross bikes and the like typically, and that's a certain length. Now I've just put a spare chain on the bike right this second, just spooled it through, and you can see here this is the issue we have. So most chains come a bit longer than what you need. In this case here you can see it's too short than what we need. The way we fix that is by adjusting the chain longer or shorter in the wheelbase to try and make that chain nip up. But in this case we can't use this chain, so we're going to have to get a brand new one out of the box. How a chain is worn. You can get these little devices which are quite useful. You can basically put in the chain and then it's meant to tell you if the chain is effectively worn or not by measuring it each time. That pin should not fall through the hole if it's buggered. If it's good, it'll stay where it is there. So there's other factors to consider besides just the length of the chain and how worn it is, but that's one method. Alright, we'll just pull this fresh chain out of the box. Got the wax paper on the top. Flip them out. Freshy goodness. You can see here is the little bag they give you with the joiner link and the actual lube you're meant to put on the pins before you connect it. And the brand new chain all lubed and waxed up and quite sticky on your fingers. I'll just show you something quickly here. So as you can quickly see, the chains are all the same down this end. But at this end, this is the deficiency we're talking about in different lengths. This is your standard 120 links when you buy the chain. This one's been cut down to fit, and this was the spare chain we just tried, it was too short. So obviously we want this new chain to be this long. So we're going to grab our brand new chain. We're going to feed it on the bike just by slipping it in here. Push it around the front sprocket and pull it from this end through our chain guide onto the sprocket. And this shows us exactly what we're talking about now in terms of the length of chain we need. This is what we're talking about. We're going to need to cut this guy off. That's rubbish. And we put a joiner link there, and that's the length of chain we need to adjust up. Now you can see here we've got a variety of different chain breaking tools. This one here can actually push a chain together and pull them apart. This guy here is basically for trying to pull the chain together, often used on road bikes. There's lots of ways of doing it, but basically what we're talking about is getting rid of this bit of chain is too long for us, so we're trying to cut this pin off in order to get that out, retain what's on here, and then we use the joiner link to push through these two holes. Shown here is the actual joiner link. I'm just trying to show you what those O-rings look like. In this case they call them an X-ring. They actually have a few little ripples on the actual rings themselves, which helps them seal a bit better. Here's our chain breaker now set up on the chain. We've basically got this pin here which forces the pin in the chain to go through this hole. We use a screwdriver or a spanner here to reach this, to crack that, to push that pin through and thereby break the chain. So you can see here now we put a spanner on the end of the tool, and we're going to use mechanical leverage now to basically turn this to bust that pin out. We put this on here like that, and then we just twist, and hopefully we don't break the pin on the chain breaker. I've done that a few times. And we put some real leverage on it, crack. That's what we want to hit. Give it a good turn, and there, now she gets easier as the pin basically forces through. So that's now screwing that pin through the chain. We keep winding, takes a bit of force. Again, we're using the mechanical advantage here of the chain breaking device, and it's done. It's through. We undo it now. An alternative if you don't have a chain breaker is you can actually use a grinder. I've done that many times before. Grind off the face of the pin, then you just punch it out. So now you can see our chain's off. That goes where you want it to go. And now we can put our joiner pin through that. Okay, let's assemble our joiner link using that lovely goop that they give us. We apply that to the pins liberally, and obviously we want plenty on the O-rings themselves. Put them on our pins, so that becomes the backing plate, and we get the top plate on top of that again. Part of the job is trying to get this face plate to squish through there. As you can see, we're just hovering your fingers on there, the pins barely go through it. So what we need to use is use my tool again, and I use this to compress those pins together in order to get that face plate to be far enough in. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Notice it's often easier to do this on the bike rather than off the bike. Okay, when you get it right, she clicks on the satisfying clip. Notice the clip is on the right direction. On there. So the next thing to do is obviously check the chain tension, which we do adjustments here. We typically go for 3 fingers underneath. That's sort of where you want it. Make sure there's no tight spots on it. That's probably not too bad there. You want it a bit looser rather than a bit tighter. If it's too tight, you'll break the countershaft sprocket. So we might just nip that up a little bit, and otherwise we're good to go, I think. And once you've mucked around with your adjustments on here, you've got the chain roughly just under 3 fingers high under there. Give it a good spin, make sure you're happy with it. Adjust up all your nuts, make sure everything's nipped up so that these chain sliding adjusters don't move. Nip that one up tight, and obviously we do the axle nut as well, because obviously we don't want the rear wheel falling off. Nice and tight there. Nice and tight there. I think we can pretty much say that's a job well done. Hopefully you didn't find that too hard, guys. It's a bit fiddly, but well worth the exercise. Have a great day.